Who would you state your name and who you represent?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Senators. I'm Tony Roberts from the Georgia Charter Schools Association, and I thank you for this opportunity to come and share with you some about charter schools. And I'm certainly not unaware of the fact that you're very familiar with charter schools, but there is a lot of misinformation that I read as early as when I took this job 5 years ago, and as late as this morning when I was reading the paper about the state of charter schools in Georgia right now. So I wanted to give some facts regarding charter schools in Georgia. They are public schools, they're not private. They are held accountable for all student achievement requirements of other public schools, plus the additional commitments they made in their charter. Their boards are subject to open meeting rules. They are not like magnet schools that have entrance requirements. And while there is some flexibility, they are still subject to all federal laws and other state laws other than Title 20, which may be waived. And let me just say to you, I know I'm going to give a lot of numbers here, so Donna, I will give you a copy of this in case anybody needs it to line their birdcage with at home. We're hearing that we don't need any more charter schools, and so I want to give you some of these facts to show you that may not be the case. Only 48 of Georgia's 180 school districts have charter schools. There are 162 total charters of all types in Georgia, which makes up 4.2% of all public K-12 schools in Georgia. The total enrollment of all schools K-12 in Georgia, public and public charter, is 1,684,000. Only 5.9%, or near 100,000 of those students, are being served in charter schools. You have to know there are different kinds of charter schools. 68 charter schools of the total number, or 42%, are independent startup charter schools that are not directly operated by the local school system. Now, they may have been approved by a local school system, but they have their own board and they're operating independently. So 58% of all charter schools, and that's of the whole number I gave you, are under the direct operation and supervision of the local school district. When I say that is their school. They either have converted a school or they've converted the whole system to a charter system. There are over 5,000 kids on waiting list for the existing startup charter schools today. Following up on what I made the point earlier, 20% of charter schools are conversion schools, 38% of charter schools are charter systems. I want to address the achievement of charter schools in Georgia. People often quote national studies on charter schools, and to me, I don't think that matters. How are charter schools doing in Georgia? You read last week, AJC reported that 70% of all charter schools made AYP, or an adequate yearly progress, and in comparison, 73% of traditional public schools made AYP. And they concluded from this one point, that means district schools outperform charter schools. That's really not exactly the case, because what we're talking about again here is they've lumped in every single kind of charter school. It's conversions, it's system charters, it's startup charters. I want to go a little further about that. The reason I want to make this point is HR 1162 is not about all forms of charter. It's only about state authorized charters, right? So let's talk about last year. 83% of all startup charters that opened last year made AYP in their first year of operation. And this is very significant. 72% of Title I charters, and if you're familiar with that, that means they have the neediest children. 72% of Title I charters made AYP versus 69.4% of traditional Title I schools. You've heard reference to this already today. Charter schools, demographics, there are 5.1% more African American students and 5.5% less white students. Talk about the commission schools that were approved by the commission. In the first year of operation, 15 of the commission charter schools made AYP, while 3 did not. One of those now was closed after its first year of operation. the number of traditional K-12 schools in needs improvement status. Are you familiar with what that means? It means that they have not made AYP for 2 years or more.
15 seconds.
Okay. What I want to say is that the news that charter schools are not valuable to us is not right. They do perform a very good service, and there are a lot of parents and kids that depend on having this as an option. And even where they're great schools, there are students that need this opportunity. And I think they're proving themselves here in the state of Georgia. So I would ask your support of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Rudd.
Thank you.
Question?